Go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here. Normally I drop these should you pull videos before we get access to CE server, but we got access to the CE server pretty much on time. Did I do things on time? Probably not, but that's really not the point. All right, listen, I decided to hold things off in order to give you guys some more direct gameplay from the CE server. That way I have all my opinions collected, my thoughts. I'm also working on the guide or whatever the guide may be, but I can talk about it. So what I want to do with this video is give you guys less of a breakdown of what's in the character's kit and more about what they do for you as a player and potentially the type of accounts looking for advice on who to add. In today's video, I'll be going over whether or not you should pull Lucia, Vivian, Ju Fufu, or Yidhari, and which of them offers the most value for your account. For the sake of not repeating information, if you guys are looking for some more thorough breakdowns of what these characters do, then I already have a video going over all of that. You can find that up here in the top right corner of the screen. Maybe, I'm pretty sure it's there. I'll be skipping any of the basic kit information to focus on more important aspects to help you determine if you should pull them or not. Starting with Lucia. In my last video, I mentioned she was similar to Farina from Genshin Impact. Now that I have confirmation from the CE server, Women in Harmony don't actually work like Farina's kit to my understanding. Instead, certain attacks are labeled as Whim moves and others are Harmony. Whim attacks build dream points and Harmony use them. Learning how to manage this dream meter will help your Rupture team skyrocket in terms of performance. Speaking of Rupture agents, that's exactly who Lucia is going to benefit. I'll talk about my experience with other agents in a moment. Currently, we have Ishwin, Stole Bad Guy, and Yidhari to test over in the game. While all three of them are universally supported by Lucia, each of them still plays a little bit different. For those of you that pulled Ishwin on her release, this is absolutely the support agent you want to focus on. I was recently under the impression that Ishwin, Ju Fufu, and Panda was still her highest performing team, netting around 50,000 against Miasma Week bosses like the Priest, but I was wrong. Kate let me know that 45k was about the highest she's scoring right now at M0 levels of investment, and that's with the entire team having cracked out builds. I've tested both of these teams featuring Panda and Lucia, and oh my goodness, you can truly tell the difference between an A rank Rupture support and an S rank now. Lucia adds a level of power that is probably beyond Astra, and I don't say that to drip feed the idea of power creep in your head either. I truly want you to understand that this is the support of Rupture agents. Her ability to play primarily off-field will make Astra players feel right at home, and still finding convenient situations on-field to reapply her dream state buffs will easily introduce them to the habits of playing a more on-field support. It's a perfect agent to allow players to learn a better playstyle of support characters. Then, thanks to her own passives, she actually increases her own damage to help contribute something on the battlefield. On average, she's attacking every 3 to 4 seconds with a powerful Harmony attack, and her 5th basic is the strongest move in her kit to my knowledge, outside of her ultimate. From a damage perspective, my most consistent numbers hovered around 60 to 80k per big hit, while her larger hits are scoring well over 130,000 damage multiple times. This character is not just a support, and from what I've gathered, is straight up meant to do her own levels of damage. It might not even add 30% of the team's total damage, but with how often she's attacking off field, I'd hope she's pushing for higher numbers over time. Another thing that I mentioned in my previous video was the fact that she had aftershock attacks built into her kit. I tested her with the new Sambi and a few other attack agents as well, just to see if she would compare to any current support agents in the game. As of right now, I don't really like agents like Evelyn paired with Lucia. They work and honestly gave me about average results. My issues with the characters like that is that Astra, Lucy, or even Nicole provide so much more to the DPS that it's almost never worth slotting her into the team unless you just want to. And to make it more difficult for some players who are comfortable with hypercarry, you just can't do that with Lucia and an attack agent on the team. You have to run a stun unit to activate her additional passive, which is one of the biggest damage buffs for the attack agents to begin with. On the other end of the spectrum is a character like Sambi. Keep in mind, I'm using the newly reworked version of her, and she is a monster. Lucia paired with an aftershock DPS actually performed better than I expected. Now this might be specifically because of Sambi's rework changing her kit so that other aftershock attacks help her build up the silver mark gauge. Honestly, I would need another unit to figure this out. Lucia's ability to deal her own damage, provide aftershock combo attacks, and still give the team general DPS buffs is a good thing. Would I slot Lucia in over another support like Nicole or Astra? Most likely not. Then I'll briefly talk about her W engine here. It's pretty much insane. You absolutely want this engine, and at this current moment in time, this is the only way to max out her 24,000 HP requirement for the 900 sheer force boost. Realistically, you don't need that at all, and using engines like Weeping Cradle or the Volt will help deal more damage or keep your energy up, respectively. If I wasn't able to get her signature engine, Weeping Cradle would be my go-to option. Lastly, as I mentioned before, I believe Lucia is designed in a way where she excels as the support for Rupture agents, but can still be useful to a number of different agents in the game who can benefit from the universal damage buff. Ultimately comes down to what options you have on your account. This character is busted. Not even including how insane her engine is, she alone is a huge benefit to Rupture agents as an entire archetype. Both Ishwin and Minato immediately benefit from what she provides. I've already tested Yidhari with her, and that's an entirely different monster to deal with. Currently in this Rupture meta, I'm even more confident now that every single player should pull Lucia. On the less than 1% occasion you aren't investing into Rupture at all, then continue to skip and save for more useful agents to your account. For those of you who have started to invest in Rupture, she's perfect. Adding Lucia to your team not only frees up the Astra you've potentially been using, but also the Panda, and this gives you 2 support options for your choice of Minato, Ishwin, or Yidhari. Next up, we have Vivian, who's going to share this banner phase with Lucia. I'm pretty much going to state this up front. I don't believe Vivian is worth pulling if your choice is between her and Lucia. Lucia is literally just too strong. However, that does not mean Vivian is not absolutely nutty in her own department. You've probably heard most people say something like, there is no point in running Bernice when Vivian exists. And for the most part, that's kind of true. I still hold value in Bernice, especially against fire weak enemies and particular matchups that Vivian just doesn't do the best in, but it is what it is. Some players even prefer Vivian over Yanagi and will absolutely slot Vivian on every anomaly team if they can. She's literally top 2 anomaly sub DPS in the game. If you are trying to finalize your anomaly team, Vivian is heavily worth considering. This ultimately comes down to your own account though, especially as a free-to-play. I can't dictate what decision you make, only provide the information. There isn't a single anomaly agent in the game Vivian doesn't work with. Even main DPS Bernice uses Vivian, and that's not supposed to be a thing. Not only does she fulfill the off-field DPS role that a lot of gacha players are looking for, but she also works similarly to how I described Lucia, where there are multiple opportunities for her to conveniently slip onto the field, deal her own personal damage, then quickly escape without ruining the rotation. The best part is that it's not even execution heavy at all. Vivian also doesn't need her W engine. Yay! And most anomaly agents are free-to-play friendly as it is, so there's that. Vivian is an excellent addition to any player's account looking to improve their anomaly teams. An important thing to keep in mind is that this is Vivian's second banner run. This is most likely the last time we'll see her for the remainder of the year, so if you don't grab her now, there's a high chance the next Vivian will release in the meantime. I'll end this section off with a small bit for players looking to vertically invest. M2 Vivian is apparently a game-changing mindscape. Do with this information what you will. After Vivian, we have Yidhari, and I didn't expect to be able to get my hands on her this early, but thank you, new in-game mode. I love this agent way more than I thought I would. Her and Soul Bad Guy are literally meathead characters, and I feel like this is Zenless's first time taking this route. In Yidhari's case, she's so strong, with or without Lucia, that you can just turn your brain off and delete enemies in front of you. Her HP draining mechanic might be better than Hu Tao's. The lower her HP, the more damage she deals. The higher her HP, the faster she drains it. And she has some interesting mechanics that expand her options when her HP is above or below 50%. Yes, they're both different. An outstanding high-risk, high-reward character. Interestingly enough, Yidhari is a lot more technical than I anticipated. I'll go over more detail later since I haven't finished my test with her, but as of right now, I can confidently say she rewards players who have a strong sense of spatial awareness. Things like when to fully charge versus only doing a level 1 charge, which counterattack should you use in any given situation, and whether or not spinning to win is the best play, or dash canceling forward into a special version of her cold pursuit skill. Even her ultimate is interesting, giving players a full 30-second seconds to use it after activating her ether veil. Yidhari also is completely self-sufficient. I mean, you have to purposely do nothing in order to kill her because they designed her kit so well that almost every finisher refunds HP in some way, shape, or form. There's even something interesting in her kit where she will perform a different type of counterattack depending on which charge level she got, and one of them gives you like 3 different options to use after the counterattack. But enough glazing. Let's talk about some important factors to help you determine if you should pull her or not. From a free-to-play perspective, I have 2 statements to make. 1, I low-key think Yidhari is significantly stronger than Yishwen. I just can't prove it yet. And 2, Yidhari is almost certainly for the players who skipped Yishwen. That doesn't mean you shouldn't pick her up, but when it comes to everything happening this patch, if you already own Yishwen and need to prioritize a pull, Lucia is your priority. Then there's the question of whether or not you have Ju Fufu, and if not, you kind of want her too. That same thing applies to Yidhari. Most of the enemies in the game are weak to both ice and ether, and typically free-to-play players either have Miyabi or Yishwen, but rarely both.
Yeah, boy.
I remember distinctly there was a Shiyu defense a few patches ago that was straight up ether and ice only, which obviously benefited players who just happen to have both agents on their account. We've expanded to have more variety now, so it isn't that much of a problem anymore. She also doesn't care about freezing the enemy like Miyabi does, and still takes advantage of ice weak enemies. Then everyone is getting a free Minato, which is typically going to be your fire rupture DPS and takes away the pressure of wanting 2 rupture DPS. This is why I keep mentioning how important Lucia is as a single unit. From a low spender's perspective, adding Yidhari to an account that already owns Yishwen and Miyabi is just asking to destroy everything in the game. Even bosses that are neutral or slightly resisted now have to deal with Miyabi deleting them because she doesn't care about their resistances, or a hammer wielding octopus mommy destroying bosses in seconds once again because she doesn't care about their defenses. It's a win-win no matter how you spin it. Zenless did an amazing job at separating Yidhari from both Miyabi and Yishwen. Yidhari is a much more aggressive character who just happens to reward you for making smarter decisions in combat. You need to play her without being afraid of taking hits in order to put the fear of God in your enemies' hearts. Yidhari is nowhere near a must pull for obvious reasons. What should be taken into account is what DPS do you want to invest into. A player should either want to invest in a Yishwen or Yidhari, at least for now. Both of these will remain strong thanks to Lucia for a very long time. Finally, we get down to Ju Fufu, which should be the simplest of the 4 if I'm being honest. Fufu is one of those characters that is amazing in her niche. That niche isn't even off-field stunners though, but instead it almost feels like she is the rupture stunner and excels at just that. Meanwhile, all of the rupture agents can use practically any other fitting stunner and still excel. Ju Fufu is one of those characters that you use if you have her and pull her with intent. Investing in a rupture teams means you pull Ju Fufu now, or wait until the next rupture stunner, which is also feasible. For all of these DPS, her 4000 decibel rating is amazing and gives most teams the ability to pop 2 ultimates within a short succession of time. So a character like Yishwen, who has 2 ultimates in her kit, will always benefit from a buff like this. Evelynn or Sambi, on the other hand, still benefit from that same buff, but not as much as their respective best in slot stunners. And that's where Ju Fufu's problem lies. She's the type of character that is currently best in slot for a few units, easily usable as a second or third best in slot for multiple other teams when you don't have those original best in slots. But she doesn't excel over those options if you happen to have them. I'm also worried that the next rupture focus stunner is on the way, and pulling Ju Fufu, even if you don't currently have her, just wouldn't be worth it unless you're looking to build both Minato and your S rank rupture DPS. Fufu is in a really weird spot for me, to be honest. All of my best performances on the CE server so far have been with Ju Fufu, but this is also the most I've used her since her original release. I think ultimately, if you have the extra funds to get her and don't already have her, then it's a good pickup. She's free to play friendly and doesn't need her signature engine at all. Vertical investment wise, Ju Fufu's M1 is arguably a much better pull than even her own W engine. However, if I'm being asked where her pull value lies in comparison to the other 3 agents on the same banner, she's not bad by any means, but she is at the lowest priority out of the 4. So let's wrap this up. Some of you guys always stress that you just have to have me tell you who is the best to pull out of the 4. I don't really believe Zenless operates like that at all, but if you needed an order of my own opinion, Lucia holds the highest priority by a landslide. Yidhari is the second highest, but she drops down to the third if you already own Ishwin. Vivian fills the gap in between, and Ju Fufu is at the very bottom. Each of these agents brings a lot to the table, but ultimately it depends on what your account is missing and which agent provides you with the biggest improvement. I can't make those decisions for you, but I can help you with a little guidance. Feel free to ask questions in the comments and then join the Discord for more help there. This CE server gave us a lot to work with, so I'm still working through my backlog of videos. Give me some time and I'll release it all. Until then, I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Know you later.